How do you like it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
So, someone who's been in the news recently and who I know that you've been kind of rediscovering a lot of the work of is Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, well, I think it's, I mean, I'm actually kind of really glad to put her in this episode because I feel like not many people might know just how much she actually has contributed to horror, but, you know, film in general, I mean, it's interesting to see how long her career actually did span for, because I think most people really only know her from The Shining.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly her most famous role, and she's absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, justifiably so.
But I guess before we kind of like dive deep into her work on The Shining, she a Robert Altman staple from the 70s, but she was a Texas-born chick, but she was definitely a lot of like a recurring actress in a lot of his movies, and she was in a lot of like really interesting stuff in the 70s, but you know, I have to say that I just recently got Popeye on DVD, and although
opposite the late great Robin Williams.
Yeah, and although it's not horror related, I have to say that she really just nailed that character. I mean, it was like perfect casting, but you know, some of her other film roles, she was in this interesting movie that I just saw on Netflix called Three Women, where Sissy Spacek, another really famous horror icon, they co-starred together in it, and it's very bizarre. It's a very like weird, dreamlike type dramatic movie, but they kind of switch personalities halfway through the movie, which I thought was kind of fun because I haven't really seen too much of her other work, you know, aside from The Shining. But you know, I guess while we're thinking about it, yeah, I mean, what did you think of The Shining?
The Shining, well, it's one of my father's favorite movies. It's an incredibly, you know, it's just a masterpiece. I mean, there's not a lot you can say about it that hasn't been said already.
Yeah.
But with specific regards to her, I think she went through absolute hell on that movie. I mean, Stanley Kubrick was you know, very hard on her. Jack Nicholson was very hard on her. And what's interesting is he's recently said in interviews that he just thinks she's extraordinary in the movie. And I think he probably knows that he was, you know, not good to her at all. But if anything, I think a lot of that really came out in her performance. And, you know, she's playing this woman who kind of feels like the world is against her, and her marriage is, you know, kind of horrifying and crumbling. And I mean, you know, she really anchors that movie in a very important emotional way.
If it hadn't been for that, you know, volley of ideas and sometimes butting of heads together, it wouldn't have come out as good as it did.
You know, that movie is so revered for a lot of the technical and the, you know, a lot of the things that Kubrick did as a director with that movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, I might be one of the few people, but I buy that. I mean, I watched that movie and I bought that movie for her performance. So I mean,
she's incredible.
A lot of people, but I mean, I think
incredible.
I just think a lot of people are usually into The Shining because of Jack Nicholson and the whole "Here's Johnny" and you know all that stuff. But I remember watching it, and what I find so striking about her performance, not just in this but in a lot of other work that I've seen, is that she brings like such a vulnerability to the screen, where it's like, you know, when I look at her, she just has this, you know, she had those very like big expressive eyes.
Yeah. And
I don't know, there was something that just made me kind of want to always like put my arm around her and be like, hey, we're pals, you know, you look like you'd be such a great person to sit and have coffee with.
Yeah.
You know, and
or to smoke many cigarettes with.
Right.
Man, does she smoke a lot.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because I've even heard her say that she, I guess, was like, you know, a regular smoker like in real life too. Right. So who knows, maybe it started with The Shining. But I guess I wouldn't, you know, I could cut her some slack for wanting to have a cigarette on that set.
I was just gonna say that. How could you not?
Since her hair was like falling out, she even said. But
ooh, jeez.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, one of the things is like, despite all of the behind the scenes like stuff that you hear about her and the director, you know, she never once like, you know, bashed him or said she hated him. I mean, and she was, I mean, aside from, you know, her work and bringing the vulnerability that she did to the screen, she seemed to be a very professional actress as well. Like she didn't, you know, she didn't take like a low-handed route where she could have been like, I hated him and he was terrible and this was like a worse experience. I mean, she really did try to see the good in it, I guess, wherever, you know, like throughout her career. And it's interesting that that was such a hard film shoot, but it's what became her legacy as an actress. Like, I think a lot of people remember her for The Shining, but I remember Stephen King was like really against that.
He always hated
you know,
that movie.
but you know, and he really didn't like her performance because he thought that she came across as being too weak. And there were some, I guess, some moments in there where I definitely thought, like, you know, yeah, why is she staying in this abusive relationship? But I also thought that was a great commentary on that. And, you know, in the end, eventually...
Absolutely. Well, she's literally trapped in the way that a lot of women, I think, feel trapped if they are in an abusive relationship. You know, outside people looking in say, oh, why doesn't she just get out of it? But the reality is a little bit more complex than that.
But you know, but she got, like, a lot of really great moments. I mean, I mean, aside from Jack Nicholson really kind of being the bane of that movie, or what I think a lot of people remember, but she had so many great moments in that too. Like the moment where she discovers the pages that are saying, you know, like you know, all work and no play. And what's crazy is like, I think that for me was the freakiest moment in the whole movie, because you're literally thinking, my God, he's been insane this long. Like she probably was going crazy, but you know, I don't know. She had enough courage to beat him with a bat and cut him with a knife when he was coming through the door. But I also have to say that scene where he is, you know, chopping the bathroom door down. The screaming that she does is like so authentic, and the fear, you know, it really resonates across the screen. You know, I think most people might not know is that she did become a really successful and prolific producer after that.
Okay.
And that is where fairy tale theater kind of came into the mix.
Right, I remember watching that as a kid.
And I think a lot of people probably remember that anthology series, and it had so many well-known, high-profile actors that were in a lot of those episodes. But what a lot of people might not actually know is that she did several anthology series for Showtime at the time, and one of them was called Nightmare Classics. And she actually
never heard of this.
I really didn't know about it either, but after Fairy Tale Theater, and she did one other anthology series, and then she turned to that, and it was supposed to be 6 episodes, but it ended up only being 4. But she adapted a lot of like well-known, you know, gothic horror literature and fiction. Cool. So she did like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. She did The Turning of the Screw and Carmilla. But what was also really cool is that, I guess, paying homage to her horror roots, she actually brought a lot of other well-known people from horror into a lot of those things. Like Amy Irving started in The Turning of the Screw. We all remember her from Carrie.
Yeah.
You know, and then Meg Tilly from Psycho 2 was in one of the episodes, and then even Laura Dern pops up.
Laura Dern. Speaking of strong female characters,
exactly.
Ellie Sattler, I always have a deep affinity for
Was that from
She's also Blue Velvet. No, Ellie Sattler is her character in Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, yes, I know.
Super fan of.
So, but yeah, and I think it was such a. I guess part of the reason we wanted to spotlight Shelley Duvall is because, you know, she's been in the media lately for some of a hard time that she's going through, and it's really sad to see kind of what's happening. But I did really want to pay an homage to her, because I think that she was not only a talented actress, but she just seemed like a really decent human being. So Shelley, you know, we really want you to get better and to keep making more movies and more programming that we all enjoy.
Yeah, I you know, my feelings about Shelley Duvall in the sort of, you know, the Dr. Phil interview were somewhat personal, just because, well, I really think any person on the planet knows firsthand that almost everybody struggles with some kind of depression or loneliness or anxiety. You know, unfortunately, it appears that, you know, Shelley Duvall has been really struggling with mental illness for a long time, and it's taken a great toll on her. I don't think that Dr. Phil, or even Stanley Kubrick's daughter, who started this, you know, now discontinued GoFundMe campaign, I don't think they really had her best interests at heart, unfortunately. It seems like they're trying to exploit her. And if any good comes out of this at all, and I really hope it does for her and for people in general, it's just to give attention to the fact that, you know, mental illness is just something that a lot of people deal with. It's part of everyday life. And so if somebody sees that Shelley Duvall, who they remember from any of these things, that's something that she's really struggled with, maybe it'll help them realize that, you know, it's something that their friends and family might be struggling with. It's something that they themselves might be struggling with. Hopefully they can just get help and get treatment, because, you know, it's real. And so I hope the best for Shelley. I hope that she can come out of this, because, you know, It could happen to anybody. That
It
could
can.
be your mother, your aunt. I mean,
Yeah.
that could really be somebody that you
Yeah.
know going through exactly what she's going through.
But we love you, Shelley.
Yeah.
We love you a lot. And
Especially this
yes, and we hope that you get better.
Yeah.
So please do.
And it also helps get the emotion up and the concentration up, because it builds up anger, actually, and you get more out of yourself. And he knew that, and he knew he was getting more out of me by doing that. So it was sort of like a game.
We hope you enjoyed our episode, and if you have any comments or any strong female characters of your own that you want to mention, please hit us up in the comments.
Thanks again for watching, and we can't wait to see you guys soon.